Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and the AZU project. In the previous video I checked the engine and I came to the conclusion that it's not running right just yet, but it will be running right. I think it seems to be healthy. The bones seems to be healthy. But there are other bones in this car that I unfortunately don't think is very healthy. The two CVs are based on a chassis. This up here is has nothing to do with the rigidity or the safety of the actual car underneath. It's a frame with an engine bolted onto. All the stuff is bolted onto that frame, and then the house is just put on top of it. And unfortunately, I think we have a problem with the frame in this one, which is very common because they tend to rust. This one though is from France and it's not very rusty, but there is something else that I would like to check out in this video that I think is going to mean that we'll have to take everything apart on this car. When the AZU arrived in my garage, the first thing I noticed was that it was standing outside. And that part, that's the frame right there. That part of the frame, or the chassis, is lower to the ground than this one. I just saw it and thought that maybe it was because of my uneven driveway. Then I got it in here, it was still the same. And then I just thought that it was misadjusted suspension, because you can actually adjust the suspension height. And if you adjust one suspension height to be higher than the other one, then it would look like this. And I just thought that maybe that was the case. But I think there is something more sinister wrong in here. I'm not really sure why this car has an engine, because you can just use it as a wheelbarrow, no problem. It's the most light car ever. I've jump-started these two CVs many times alone. I wouldn't want to do it in this one though, because of the suicide doors. If you trip while pushing it, you will drive yourself over. Anyway, there's something I want to show you in here. And now I could be wrong, but I am always told that you should take a look at the triangle panel right there to know if a 2CV chassis is bending. And take a look at this one. This one got a giant dent right there. At first glance I just thought that it had been some kind of damage or accident. But I think there's something down here that is causing it. To confirm my suspicion and also make it easier to actually have a look in there, I'm gonna put jack stands right underneath the axle tube in the front. There we go, now it's lifted at the same height on each side. And my garage floor is not completely flush, so it won't be a precise test. But I measure 45 from the chassis leg on this side to the ground. And 43 on this side, so 2 centimeters of difference. So this is definitely higher than the other side, but still. I'm going to show you what I found and what is the reason for all this. Because right down here we have the spring tube. Yeah, it needs to be changed also. At least the tube needs to be changed, because there's a hole in it right there. This is the area that is adjustable, as mentioned. Right there. You can adjust the ride height using this. It's currently completely loose because the car's off the ground. But yeah, that's the adjustable area. But right behind it, right there, is where my concern lies, because that fold in the chassis frame is not supposed to be there. And let me show you something. This is my Citroën Visa GTI that I almost forgot I had, and I just had to take it back home. It's gonna go back on the road this year, I think. But this is what I want to show you. This is the chassis frame of my Citroën Mahari. I'm sorry for the sound in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, but there is a fighter jet somewhere in the clouds up there. Very noisy. But the fold I just showed you is on the other side, but it's the same. It's right here on the AZU, and as you can see, there is a big metal plate right there. That is a reinforcement made on the later models, and something that is quite important because they tend to bend right there or rust. In my climate, normally they will just break. I have actually never seen the bending like on the AZU, but that is what happens if they don't rust. They will just slowly bend. I'm not sure the internal bits are the same on the AZU. I don't know, but at least this part is reinforced on the later models, but not on the AZU. So is the AZU just ready to be trashed? No, of course not. The chassis frame could maybe be straightened, but I have no idea how to do that, and I'm not even sure it would be legal. It possibly will, but you'll need some special tools for that. I'm not going to go down that road, but it is possible to change the chassis frame, and of course that will be it will cost some money. It will be a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. Yeah, because the alternative is to just give this up or have it as a garden ornament or something like that. And yeah, but what I want to do now is to just remove the entire front, because that's one of the great things about the Citroëns. It's so easy to work on. The reason why I want to do it is to get a better look at that area. I might even remove the floor pans in there. And this is also where the 2CV models shine, because it's so easy to work on them. It possibly won't be that easy because it's old, but in theory, all I need to do is to push this and pull the rod all the way out, like that. And hopefully it's not too rusty in there, but I should be able to just slide the entire hood. Like this. It's brilliant. Can you see how much space that freed up for working on the engine? And I haven't even touched my tools yet. That is just one of the amazing parts about the 2CV setup. To do the next bit, I need some tools. And the tool you need for the next bit is missing. Normally it is attached somewhere here. I don't know if it's the same on the old models. Maybe it's in the spare wheel room. Yeah, I think it's supposed to hang up here, but it's currently missing. I don't know if it's in the trunk or in the parts, but it's a combined thingy to remove the wheel nuts, to use to hand crank it, and to remove the 3 big nuts around the wings. So I'm just going to do that with a normal tool. I forgot one. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each side, loosened up, and the bonnet, no tools, and then you are at this position. This is just what makes 2CVs amazing to work on. It's we are actually not very far off of removing the engine now. It's so very simple. To put it simply, it's pretty much just a matter of removing this in here, and then we can pull the engine over, of course, the cables and the exhausts. But now we can get a better look at the actual frame. I see some stuff there that is also a little bit wearing. It could be just because of leaking brake fluid. I'm just going to find my hammer. Okay, so it is surface corrosion, but it is thin. It's very thin, but it is thin even when new. So I don't know if that's too far, but it is thin. Oh, another thing. We got worn kingpins on this side. It needs to be changed. Possibly oversize. We'll see. What about the other side? Most likely the same. These are possibly the worst kingpins that I have ever felt on the 2CV. They are very worn. So yeah, They need to be changed also. But this does not give us a lot of access to the area that is bent. I'm gonna see if I can remove the pan, the floor pan, because I think it's just bolted in. It's supposed to be welded, I think, but it's just bolted, it looks like. I'm gonna see how much of this I can remove. And even though this project has started to escalate, it is still not the plan, at least, for a complete restoration. The hope is to keep as much of the look and the wear and tear of this car as possible and just make it safe. And I think it means that we will have to change a lot underneath, but I would like to make it look like this still and remove as little as possible all around. These are just self-tapping screws, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. So this is what once were the actual floor of this car. I need a higher roof. And here we have the old floor. This is a really farm repair. And the old original floor. It's not worth a lot either. I removed the floor pans, as you saw in here. They need to be changed anyway, so it's not a big deal. It's not something that didn't have to be done. I think I'm going to weld a support from here to here just to make sure that the dimension stays the same, because currently it's actually loose from the entire frame, and the support is of course missing. Down here, this is the part that we're going to change, the lower part we're going to change, and the floor pans. The problem area is this inside of here. This is the ripple right there that looks to be bent. And there you can see the bend also. You can also see that the bracket that holds the axle is moving out a little bit from the actual chassis. It doesn't do that on the other side. But it's not as apparent as I thought it would be. I thought it would be showing all the way over, but it's stopping right around here. This rust hole I have opened up a little bit to try to look in a little bit, but that's very difficult. But what I also noticed is that not only is this damaged, this is also damaged in here. And another thing, you can see the bend or the damage all the way out here, because take a look at this. This is also bent and at a little bit crooked angle. So I think, and I'm not sure about this, I think the frame has bent only in one side because of that's where the passenger sits, so there's more weight on that side. But it could also be actually accident damage, because it could be hit by something from this side. But I don't think so. I do really think it's bent because of metal fatigue. And that is not a big surprise, because as I showed you at a later stage in the 2CV live, they made a reinforcement panel exactly where that bend happened. So I think it's just the way it is. So now there is no way back. The project has really started out now. I think the wise thing to do would be to get another chassis and put everything back on that. And it's not a big deal, to be honest, because the entire house is almost removed. The engine is pretty easy to remove also. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be changed and fixed when we change the chassis. But all in all, it's not a huge deal. Of course, it costs some money, but that's it. Remember, this is not my car. It's a joint venture project with Bilklubben Podcast. I need to talk with them about the next step. I think the right thing to do would be to change the chassis, change whatever needs changing down here. The kingpin that are completely wrecked needs to be changed and all that, and the engine needs to be fixed up. And then do as little as possible at the body of the car. Change the floor pan, change the pedal panel, and then just gently put everything back together. I don't think it makes sense to fix all the rust on the body, because it will wreck the amazing look of this car, and I really don't want to do that. But yeah, we'll see. Remember, you can support me on Patreon if you like these videos. It is a big deal for me because it makes it possible to continue doing this that I really like, making videos, fixing cars, and making content for you guys. So if you want to do that, there's a link below the video in the description pointing to my Patreon page. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.